Hey, do you ever feel like the internet is spying on you? Maybe your computer, your camera, your phone, something is spying on you. You're not sure if it is. Well, stay tuned. You'll find out that it probably really is. And you'll also learn 6 things you can do today to keep that from happening to you. Hi, I'm Mark Marley. I'm the president of Network Computer Solutions. And for more than 20 years, we've been providing IT management and security services. We can keep your network secure. Just give us a chance, listen to what we have to say. You might just learn a few things. This is my second video today because earlier I think I had some technical difficulties. If anyone's out there and you can hear what I'm saying, please comment, give me a thumbs up because I need to know this equipment's working. Little equipment malfunction earlier. One of the things that I see when I talk to people and I read about these articles about people getting hacked and their privacy being violated is that they're utilizing a lot of devices that are internet connected. So if you could just comment if you can hear what I'm saying, give me a thumbs up. Hey, Samantha's joined. Great, thank you. So on these internet connected devices, they tend to be a big threat to your network. And also, people in IT, we tend to use all these acronyms about things that you may or may not understand. One in particular I'm going to talk about today is IoT. It's the Internet of Things. Internet of Things talks about when you purchase appliances that happen to be connected to the internet. You know they have an internet component when they have an application attached to them. It could be as simple as a thermostat to control your environment when you're gone. It could be a doorbell, microphone, and camera so you can talk to the UPS man. You can use your phone to unlock your door to let the mailman in, to put the package inside, and then lock the door again. Well, those devices can also be used against you. We've seen too many stories about how baby monitors are hacked and how people are, watching your family in different parts of the house when you least expect it. What about your phone being hacked and turning on your camera? What about your refrigerator, your TV? There's also been recent reports about smart TVs being turned into listening devices to monitor what you're saying and doing in your own home. And just recently we learned that the robotic vacuum cleaner is mapping out homes of people around the world. And then the manufacturer of that device has announced they're going to sell that information to marketers. What good information is that anyways? Who cares where your couch is at or maybe where your TV's at in your home? Well, you know what? When you combine that with other pieces of data that people have available to them, you will see that that information can be used against you or for marketing purposes. A lot of devices listen to what you're saying all the time anyways. Think about the devices that you can get and you can talk to it and you can tell it what song to play or what light to turn on or you can tell it to search and buy something for you. Now, how can those things even be operating correctly if they aren't listening to you? Think about that for a minute. They're always listening. You can say, "Hey Siri," and your phone will respond. She started listening long before you said, "Hey Siri." Well, there are a few things you can do to secure yourself. One thing you can do is research the device. Does the device need connectivity for you to use it and function with it? One thing about some devices are they make it convenient, but does it really make a difference in your life? So make sure you understand what the device does, the risk associated with it, and weigh out the cost versus benefits and see if it's a good idea to turn on the internet connectivity. You can have a perfectly good working thermostat that you can set on a timer without having to have internet connectivity to that device. The next thing you have to do once you purchase the device is make sure that you change the password. There are people on the internet and bots that constantly scan for devices using the default passwords. It's easy to find. There's millions of them. There are websites out there that publish links to cameras that you can monitor and view online that people want to know you're viewing. It's just because they didn't change their default passwords. So be sure that you do that. And it's also important to use a password that's different for each device. I know it gets complicated. You've got so many devices. I mean, you don't want the refrigerator to have the same password as your TV or your phone or your thermostat, because then if somebody gets into one device, they might actually get into multiple devices just because the passwords are the same. If you could, please give me some comments. Tell me where you're watching from today. Even if you're on the recorded broadcast and not live, I do go back and I check these comments. If you have questions, post them in the questions in the comments below. I will respond to those questions later and give you more information. The next thing you could do is put your devices on a secure network or on a separate network from your home or your office. It's too easy just to connect your new IoT devices to the Wi-Fi you have in your home or office. Just type the password in and go, and then all at once you have access to it on your application. You can take the app around, show all your friends how cool you are because you can control the lights in your home. But the best thing to do is to create a separate network, and most firewalls and routers anymore allow you to create guest networks. Those guest networks have no access to anything else in the network that aren't also connected to that guest network. That's one little piece of security that you can do that might make your life better and secure your company data or your personal data better. And you're also less likely to get malware on your home PCs if you do that. The next thing is disable UPnP, another acronym that we talk about in the IT world that may not make a lot of sense to you. But really what it is universal plug and play. It's a protocol that's configured on devices and routers that allow you to have simple methods to configure these devices. It's basically auto-configure. You plug a device into your network and it automatically opens all the firewall ports and everything it needs to function correctly. Well, the problem with that is it makes it simple, but it also makes it easy for people who want to do bad things to your network as well. Once they get into that device and UPnP is enabled on all the devices on your network and all your IoT devices, they have the ability to scan your entire network, find other UPnP devices, and they can then manipulate it to do other things. There's recently been a hack that allowed people to connect to a low-quality router. Several brands were involved, the kind you buy at retail stores, not the kind you buy from your IT provider, but a cheap little firewall router. And they were able to turn that router into a bot to make it attack other devices on the internet. They were using your internet connection to do their bad work. So keep in mind, passwords are important. Turn off the UPnP and make sure you update the firmware. Which leads me up to the next one. Routers, firewalls, IoT devices, they may get designed and sit on a shelf for who knows months before you purchase them. Many security updates are done for those devices normally on a regular basis. If you get the device and you don't update the firmware, then you could be inviting the criminals into your office or your home. It's very easy to do. Most devices from a web interface will check the version of the firmware for you and apply updates. Now, if you buy a device and it doesn't give you the option to update, get rid of it. Because you know what? Most trusted, well-respected manufacturers will allow you an update process to make sure you're secure. And even the good ones will send you an email or a text when it's time to update. Now, some have auto-update feature. You can turn that on if you'd like, but be careful because you might become reliant on it, become complacent, thinking your security is good, and it's not. Because sometimes the auto-update won't work or it'll fail, and you'll assume it's being done and it's not. So go out to these devices on a regular basis, connect to your firewall, connect to your cameras, connect to everything, just to check and see if there's any updates to be available. And also, kind of read the news. You know, there's all kinds of online security blogs. Just find out if your version of your camera or your baby monitor or your thermostat or your refrigerator, any of that stuff has been listed on a recall or also used in a hack. You can easily find that information online, or if you want, you can also send a message to me, comment on this broadcast, and I'll research the device for you and tell you whether or not I think it's a good device, or maybe give you pointers additionally to secure your network. Speaking of TVs, or refrigerators, there was a recent incident at Home Depot to where a TV that was connected to the internet, just so they could broadcast it, show the public how cool this refrigerator was. I think refrigerator might keep track of how much milk you have and such, and then send it to your text message or on an app so that later on you can look inside the refrigerator when you go shopping to save yourself a trip. All those conveniences are cool, except that one refrigerator that was sitting inside Home Depot had pornography listed on the front door. So the whole front of the TV or the refrigerator is a display screen, and on that screen were some pictures and images that you wouldn't find relevant in your home. So be aware, there's people out there that want to do bad things to you. When we talk about putting these in businesses, it gets even more of an issue. There was a story about the U.S. Chamber of Commerce in Washington, D.C. that took a hack. They were hacked by China. After the hack was determined, found out that China had been in their network for up to 2 years. And they were basically mining all the documents and all the data and monitoring all the communications in and out of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. The only way they were detected was that someone in China who was working on monitoring that network remotely printed a document to a laser printer in Washington, D.C., but in a Chinese characters. That alerted them that, hey, there's something going on. And they did some investigation and found that China had actually attacked them. But how did China get in? Was it some very, some high-tech attack? No. It's because they deployed a thermostat to try to save money. That thermostat allowed the Chinese hackers to get into that network, get totally in behind the firewall, and sit there and collect all the information they wanted for 2 years until they were detected. You think it happens in, a big enterprise like that? It can happen in your small business just as easily. I was out at a prospect recently having a meeting with the CEO of the company. While I was there, the maintenance person came in who was installing the new thermostats for their company. They were trying to save money and cut back on and monitor their heating and cooling costs, so they were installing, I think, 6 thermometers or thermostats in their office. When they did, they needed the Wi-Fi password. So as the maintenance person came and asked the CEO for the password, he gave them the password. Well, first of all, I was sitting there, so I know the password too. Second of all, it was a secure network. They didn't even question the risk involved. They just bought these thermostats, planned on saving money, had somebody install them, and then just put them on their corporate network. I immediately spoke to the CEO, and he stopped that. And then we talked about it a little more, and we're going to put measures in place for them to keep that from happening again. Every company needs a plan, and you need to treat these things seriously. Have a plan to add IoT to your network, and make sure you do it systematically and investigate each device first and document how it's configured and when the last time it's updated was. Take it very seriously. Your privacy is at jeopardy. If you have any issues, questions, concerns about IoT, the Internet of Things, it's a threat that's coming. There'll be more than 20 billion devices by next year. So it's going to affect you, and it already has. So comment below if you would. Tell me, kind of where you're at, where you're coming from, where you're watching. Tell me if you've ever had an IoT issue, a threat that you're concerned about. Message me, tell me your favorite IoT device. Is it your refrigerator? Is it your smartwatch? Is it your Fitbit? All those things are connected to the internet and they're IoT. Tell me what your coolest IoT device is. Just put it in the comments below. And if you want to ask a question, and I'll respond. Share this out to everybody you know. Share it out to your friend list, your groups, your church list. Just make sure that everybody's aware that IoT is not good. And convenience usually outweighs security, which means that it's so cool to easily install a device, leave the passwords the same, don't up to the firmware, use your smartphone to access it, but that convenience is going to cost you if you don't really take the security of that very seriously. So comment below. If you have any questions, reach out to me and I'll help you secure your network from these IoT devices. In the meantime, don't be adding thermostats to your office without thinking about it first. Have a great day. I'll talk to you later.